And the question is, what does it mean to have a sex drive? That's a good question. I've been asking this all over the world in about 40 countries. We do these Moral Revolution conferences. They're typically filled with young people, and then we do a parent night. And I ask them, what does it mean to have a sex drive? Because I ask everybody, how many of you know God gave you a sex drive? Almost everybody raises their hand, except for the people who won't raise their hand for anything. And I say, what does it mean to have a sex drive? And everybody's, I don't know. It means you want to have sex with somebody. That's what a sex drive means. It means you want to have sex with somebody. And the goal is not to get rid of your sex drive. The goal is to learn how to manage your appetite. This is too bad this is a revelation. People are sitting quiet. Write that down, honey. The goal is not to get rid of your sex drive. Like, God is not ashamed of your sex drive. I'd like to suggest to you that the world's in a mess, and a lot of it has to do with sexuality. It's funny that we'll talk about divorce, but as Paul Manwaring said to me tonight, we hardly ever talk about marriage. The number one reason why people get divorced is sexually incompatibility. And we don't talk about it in church. And guess who's teaching society about sex? The people who pervert it. And then we used to send little Johnny to school to learn about sex because we were ashamed to tell him at home. That's why the school system had to start telling Johnny about it. And then guess what they're teaching Johnny in school? You guessed it. In California, you have to teach kids. You have to teach kids by requirement. You have to teach kids. You could be bisexual, homosexual, heterosexual. You have to teach them about all the different avenues of sexuality. That's who's teaching your kids. But you know why they got the job? Because you're not doing it at home. Send Johnny off to learn about sexuality in school because that's the right place to teach them. And if you say anything about sex in church, people are like, this is church. Shouldn't we be talking about God in church? We are. He said, be fruitful and multiply. It was the first commandment given to man and woman. So how many know God gave you a sex drive? He's not ashamed of it. He actually celebrates it. Aren't you glad that, you didn't, how many know it was God's idea to make it fun? This is the way we teach sex to our kids. You're not going to like it. It's painful. You could go blind. You could get a disease. That's the way we tell it. God doesn't tell a sex story like that. Aren't you glad, God didn't make you, lay on it, sit on an egg for 9 months like birds? I mean, how many people would be here? If we were like birds, all right, your turn. No, I sat on them yesterday. Trust me, you wouldn't need birth control. So the world shames sex. Perverts sex, and religion shames sex. Religion's be careful how you say that. Let's whisper it in the corners of our homes. And then we wonder why our children are so enticed by sexuality. Everybody else is teaching them sex but us. I'm going to have people call and say, hey, my son's 16. I don't know if he's ready to come to the Moral Revolution conference. Dude, where are you coming from? I mean, the problem is that 10-year-olds are often ready. That's part of the struggle. And do you know the principle first mentioned? It goes like this. It says, whoever teaches you about a subject first, what they teach you becomes the foundation in which for the rest of your life you will view that subject. And I believe that God created us like that because he intended for children to be taught by their mother and father. So when you teach kids about sex first, and then little Henry, their friend in 6th grade, talks to them about sex, they will measure what Henry says by what you told them. But guess what happens if Henry tells them first? When you tell your kid at 14, and the school's already told them at 12, they will measure what you said by what the school taught them. And they tend to scrap whatever doesn't measure up with the first thing they were taught, because that tends to be the foundation of everything they believe. Now, can that change? Of course it can. But how many know it takes a conscious effort to say, I was lied to, that is not true, I will no longer believe that. But wouldn't it just be easier just to lay a foundation the way God intended for your kids? So that when you share with them, and somebody else shares with them a year later, they go, I know to believe about that. My parents taught me about that.